Hello and welcome to another episode of It Came from the Living Horror of Zombie Beach. Say that fast 3 times. Today with me...
I can barely say it once.
I know.
One time.
It's just easier just to say Zombie Beach. Maybe we just stick with that.
Yeah.
Joining me today, as always, is Dan Leadbetter.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me.
You know, I don't think even once on the 2 other episodes we've done have I introduced myself. I'm Jerry Davis, otherwise known as Brother Gerolda on where?
On something. On drugs.
Is it here? I guess it is here.
I think so, yeah.
Oh, okay. So,
it's at least according to the About Us page. That's
okay.
That's what you call yourself, but, I'll call you Jerry.
Well, that's from... that's a story we need to tell.
That's from Crazy Bob.
Yeah.
Actually. Now, I think we actually have footage on that.
Yeah, we do. We've got to tell. I'll see if I can dig it up and insert it.
Yeah, because I think that's very important. I think we did that one. That was like one of the first 1 or 2, or maybe it was.
No, that was when we did that recording on the river.
Oh, that's right. Yes. We were talking about Crazy Bob and how we ran into him and how he became a part of our lives. It'd be very funny, I think, to find out if he still exists. I mean, I don't know if we could Google Crazy Bob, what the hell would come up, but... I've
tried Googling Crazy Bob.
And what happened?
Nothing.
Oh, all right. I thought maybe he'd be a guest on the Howard Stern show.
Really?
But, One afternoon, this guy comes cruising through wearing like this. What I don't even know what the material was made of because it looked like
denims, weren't they? It was denim pants.
It was black, whatever. Oh, that's right. He had denim pants on, but his shirt looked like one of those plastic tarp things that.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that you wear in the rain. And he walked like his legs were 18 feet long. He walked like an alien out of Men in Black.
And he's like.
Yeah, it was almost like he was a
or something.
Exactly. He's a black Hitler youth. I've never seen one of those, but it could be. So this guy comes cruising in, and he's like going up the counter. He's like talking to somebody. He's going. I need to get me some drinks. I need to get this, and he said, and so he turns around, and I'm standing there. Sadly, why is it I'm always the closest one to? And he turns around and he goes, I'm Crazy Bob. And he's looking at me, and I'm going, okay, I'm either, fight or flight kind of kicks in at that point. So I'm going, okay, I'll just go with it. I said, yeah, hi, Crazy Bob, I'm Dan. And then the guy starts proceeding to tell me his life story, which could have been true. I don't know. He said the government took him and stuck a needle in his spine, but he pronounced it.
Needle in my spine.
In my spine. And turned me into a vegaboo. A vegaboo, and he'd loop on the end word of his sentences, so he'd be going, a vegaboo, a vegaboo, a vegaboo. It's like I wanted to slap him on the back of the head so I could find out what he's going to say next. And so
get the needle to skip forward a bit.
Exactly. So anyway, this went on, and our friend Danny had one of those big frosty beer mugs, and he was like kind of gripping it. Like he was getting ready to whack the guy in case the guy went ballistic or freaked out. And so, but we had this great, amazing conversation with this crazy guy talking about how his brother's name was Gerolda. Gerolda. And I was sitting there thinking, well, I could be Jerry for all I know. I mean, Jerry's got a secret that he's not sharing.
I hope he's alive and well.
I hope so, too. I hope he at least got a different pair of Kung Fu pants, because the ones he had were pretty old and...
Hi, I'm Chris Bob.
I know.
I'm Chris Bob.
I don't even know if he introduced himself. I think he just started talking.
Well, somebody told me he was Chris Bob, because he was Chris Bob, and he was, the Mothans. The Mothans, they kidnapped him. They stuck a needle in his spine.
Stuck a needle in my spine.
You riff on him now.
Everybody.
Everybody do Crazy Bob.
Everyone in the back row. Yeah, he was a piece of work, that guy. It is funny, those do you ever wonder, like, those crazy people that you run into Like whether they're really crazy or whether they just go out and act crazy in public and then they go home and have a normal life.
Well, you got to think about it, though. I mean, does that make them less crazy?
No, absolutely not. I just think they just put their craziness out there more. Like, perfect example, when I was working at a cigar shop in Costa Mesa, we had this guy who would come by every single day. It was like, if we're talking about collecting or compulsions or OCD or whatever, but this guy would come by every single day at exactly the same time, but he was wearing a different outfit. And now by outfit, I don't mean he had a different pair of pants and shirt on. I'm talking a different outfit. Like he'd come in one time wearing a Batman cape that he made and like a Batman outfit, like the pants and the shirt, and it had the big bat thing on it and the gloves. Then the next day he would come in and he'd be wearing like a full-blown like Titanic's captain's outfit with medals and all this stuff. But here's the kicker. The guy was completely sane. and he would go
in a relative speaking way.
Well, I guess it is all relative. But he was completely sane, and we would have rational conversations. And I would ask him. It was like about the fourth time when he came in, and he was wearing a leather suit jacket with leather pants and a white frilly button-down shirt with like a bolero tie kind of thing. And he had a cowboy hat, but he had modified the hat to have two brims. Now, I'd have to draw it for you to see it.
It sounds like a duck bill.
Exactly. It was like a duck bill. And so I'm sitting there talking to him, and I'm looking at his hat, and I'm trying not to stare. It's kind of like when you look at someone who's got like a slightly lazy eye or one of those eyes that kind of looks off somewhere else. Yeah. And you're trying not to look at that eye. Yeah. It's like that. I'm looking at his hat, and I'm trying to look him in the eye, but my eyes keep moving up to the hat. And I go, dude, I got to ask you, what the hell's up with your hat? And he goes, oh, this is my invention. And I go, in my head, I'm going, okay, I'll bite this one. This will be. I go, really? And he goes, yeah, I created this hat. I took two completely brand new hats and cut the bill off the second hat and attached it to the bottom of the first. And I go, that's really great. So you spent probably about $250 to ruin one complete hat. And he goes, no. He goes, what it does is it allows better airflow inside my hat. And he said it just like that, and he kind of cocked his head and looked at me like he was letting me in on some big secret. And I looked at him and I cocked my head a little bit and I go, I don't get it. And so he spent the next half hour trying to go over like the whole, the whole breakdown of the physics of the hat. And it's like I'm just sitting there staring at this guy who looks like a cross between David Byrne and Bono and Clinton Black. And I'm going, what the hell is that? And so he finally got tired of explaining that, and he took off. And then the next day he comes in looking like Spider-Man. So I figured, game over. I can't hang with this guy anymore. So I just kind of had to, treat him as a customer, sell him a cigar, and engage conversation. But I don't even know how we got off on that stuff. Oh, Crazy Bob, that's what we got. But
it's funny, For one thing I want to touch on is talking to someone and not wanting to look at something about them.
Yes.
Of course, as a guy, we usually get that when we're trying not to look at a well-endowed woman's bazoombas.
Yes.
That's the technical term.
That is the technical term. Yes, by the way. I think I've seen that in many medical journals. But it is true. It's like you, but something that is so overpronounced that it's like you can't not look at it. You know what I mean? And it's not like
it's like Crazy Bob doing his kung fu moves in front of you. It's cool. Wow!
Oh yeah, exactly.
What do you look at?
You're trying not to look at him.
Do I look away from him?
You're hoping he's like just batting away like invisible, gnats or moths or something. But he's like laying down some serious kung fu moves, and you're just trying to trying to talk to him and have a normal conversation when he's doing these big wheel kicks over your head.
Yeah. You're sitting there trying to eat pizza and drink beer with this guy in front of your table.
Seriously.
Oh my God.
And you don't know if he's going to go off. You don't know if he's going to like it.
That's the thing. Crazy people are fun, but the problem is you don't know if you need to be frightened of them.
Yes.
And that's what keeps you from enjoying them so much.
I guess it would be kind of like having a cheetah as a pet.
Exactly.
It's like, how cool would that be to see that thing go from 0 to 60 miles an hour running down your street?
Yeah, until it attacks your neighbor's kid.
Until it attacks you. Now, perfect story. Now, the publishing company I used to work for, right? Mm-hmm. The logo for the company, it's been long since bought out and all that, so I don't have a problem talking about it, was called McMullen Publishing, the place with the Volkswagen magazine I used to work for. Tom McMullen was kind of a nut, okay? The company mascot, the logo, was a cougar, okay? And I'm not talking like an over 40s woman looking for younger men. I'm talking about an actual cat. Cougar.
Not Johnny either.
Not Johnny. No, exactly. And what happened was, so Tom decided that he was going to get these cougars, right? And he had a building that he would do the publishing out of, and it was a smaller building, and he would let the cougars live in the building. Now,
oh, my God.
Oh, yeah, and this is a true story. Now, the receptionist, her name was Joan, would be the first one in the building in the morning. And so, apparently what happened, one night, Tom, in his infinite wisdom, forgot to lock the cougars up in one of the back offices. So, Joan comes in the morning and opens the door and walks in, and it's this really long hallway, like the hallway is the actual length of the building, okay? She opens the door, looks down the hall, and here comes this cougar bounding down the hallway straight for her at about 20 miles an hour, and like leaping, and like it looks like, and it actually knocks her down and stands on top of her. And so she filed a complaint, and Tom had to get the cougars out of the building.
Oh, God, I thought you were going to say she bit her head off or something.
Oh, no. The cougars, see, that's what's so funny. The cougars were so domesticated that they thought that she was just here to play.
Yeah. They're big cats, basically.
Dude, these were like full-size cougars. I mean, like Discovery Channel-size cougar. And there were pictures in the hallway of the cougars at Tom's house, like, jumping off a diving board into his pool and laying on a rock by his pool. And yeah, the guy was just he was a nutcase. So crazy people are very much like trying to keep a wild animal as a pet. You just never know when they're going to snap and, be like the guy who went to see his the chimp. Do you remember that story? And it tore his nuts off in his nose.
Oh, yeah. Well, there was also a case recently where a woman had a pet chimp, and it was getting out of control, and she called her friend over. Did you hear about this?
No.
Her friend comes over to help her, and the chimp goes nuts and rips her face off and kills her.
Dude. Seriously? Like tears the face off?
Yeah. And apparently that's what they do. That's what they do to other chimps when they're challenging them. They go
tear
for the
their face off?
Yeah,
Really?
They go for the face.
I always thought they went for the banana.
I don't know how to even respond to
that. Yeah, there was a double entendre in there somewhere, I'm sure. But
this is drifting away from funny.
It is. Yes, much like a rowboat that has been
going toward the falls.
Loosened from the dock. We're venturing out into unknown waters.
Oh, my. Hey, crazy people. Hey, gotta love them. There was this one. I know I told you about it before, but for the listeners, I used to live in Berkeley for a while, and Berkeley, California has more than its share of crazy people.
Oh, dude, I think it's mandatory that they have 1/3 of the population being crazy.
They live in the park. They're the outpatients. They don't, they wander around. They ask for money. One lived in our hedge alone. It wasn't a hedgehog.
Right.
It was a mathematician that took. He was apparently a very prominent mathematician in the late 60s.
Oh, really?
Working on some very important out there theories
Right.
and making really incredible headway in like quantum mechanics and stuff. And they decided, I'm going to try taking some of this acid, see if it would, because apparently, obviously the CIA was experimenting with it, and people thought it was mind expanding. So he thought maybe if I take this, it will enable me to make some connections in my brain.
Right.
And give me an insight on some of this incredibly difficult math. And he took it and completely melted down.
Wow.
And thought he was living in 6 dimensions, and maybe he did make the connection in his head. That's what I always thought. And maybe he was seeing 6 dimensions now. And
right.
Because that was definitely the world he was living in, but it didn't enable him to make a living.
Yeah, exactly.
Sadly, and he lived in our hedge.
Sadly, taking acid does not really enable you to make a living. It does enable you to enjoy cartoons, I guess, to a whole new level.
Unless you're Timothy Leary, he made a pretty good living on that.
Actually, that is true. Well, Timothy Leary had the education, but this guy had the education too.
And Jerry Garcia, of course.
Very true. You know what's funny? Speaking of Jerry Garcia, we can save this for the ADHD show. I saw his ties at Marshall's.
Oh, how cool.
Because they're usually like about, $30, $40 ties, and you can get them there for $11. So a money-saving tip for aging hippies right there.
Far up, man.
Dude. Oh, my gosh. Too funny. So get this, my roommate, right? He's in construction, and he does tile and pretty much anything that has to do with like home building and that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. So he's at the gas station, right? Nearby here in Costa Mesa, and he pulls in and he's walking in to pay for his gas and get himself some food for the day. It's early in the morning, and there's this gentleman who's a panhandler sitting out front. And as he walks by, the guy goes, "Hey, you got any money?" And my friend looks at him and just goes, "I don't have any change." So he goes in. He kind of starts feeling guilty. It's always good to help people who are less fortunate than you are, and so he feels bad. And so he goes and he buys a ham sandwich and one of those little cartons of milk. I figure help the guy out, right? Rather than give him $2 so the guy can go buy Ripple, you give him some nutrition. So he walks back out and he goes, "Hey, you know what? I didn't have any cash, but I bought you some food. Here's a ham sandwich and some milk." And the guy looks at him like he's offering him a tarantula, and he goes, "Could I just have your water?" And he goes, "Oh, okay." And he gives him the water, and the guy goes, "Well, I'm a vegetarian." And it gets better. So so my friend goes, "Okay, not a big deal." He says, "That's cool. Here's the water. Enjoy." So he keeps the sandwich, and he goes into his truck, and he puts the sandwich and milk in his cooler, and he realizes he's got like some, like a banana, an apple, and a plum. Uh-huh. So he goes, he wants to do the right thing. So the guy's vegetarian. Okay, I'll just kind of meet him where he's at. So he gets the fruit, walks over to him, and goes, "Dude, I found the fruit in my truck, and I thought you might want to snack on it." And the guy looks at him like he's from another planet, and he looks at the food and goes, "Is it organic?" So my friend looks at him and goes, "I don't know if it's organic or not. Do you freaking want to eat or not?" And the guy goes, "I'll just stick with the water, thanks." So let me tell you something. This is the first time I think I have ever encountered somebody who has encountered a vegetarian organic panhandler. Now, what kind of world do we live in where panhandlers have a preference of food? I have never, ever seen that in my entire life. What kind of jacked up society do we live in where a panhandler can be a vegan organist?
I think he came from Berkeley.
I think he might have been living in that hedge we talked about, is what I'm thinking. So I thought that was the most amazing thing that I had ever heard of in my life. And ironically, as a footnote to that, he saw him 3 days later standing over an overpass, like with his arms outstretched, kind of doing the Rocky thing on the top of the steps. Mm-hmm. Like he was giving some sort of papal blessing to the cars as they go by. So So who knows? He could be some sort of minor deity as well as a organic vegan.
Oh my gosh, it might be the second coming.
It could very well be. Who would have thought that? It could have been Crazy Bob, for all I know.
Well, Dan, I think we ought to wrap this up.
I think so. I think we burned up enough of these people's iPod bandwidth.
Yeah. So, well, I'll tell you what. If I've got a phone number, if anybody would like to call, leave a message, and we might play it on the next show. Give us a call at 972-535-5833.
Jerry, what's that number again?
Why, it is 972-535-5833.
And we would like to encourage your phone calls for questions, comments, rants, raves, or even possible show topics, because we are doing this for you.
Yes,
the listener.
we are. And
we're not really doing it for ourselves. Well, I guess a little.
Well, yeah, we're doing it for fun. And as always, you can check us out at .zom.com.
Yes, tell your friends, and please don't listen at work, because that would be irresponsible.
You might spit Coke on your monitor.
That's true, or get fired, and we can't hire you, for God's sakes.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, is somebody looking for work?
Yes. Well, yes, Jerry. That would be yours truly, Dan Leadbetter. Freelance writer, photographer, web designer, web updater, and PR and marketing guru.
Digital marketing specialist.
Let's put it in that category. Sure, what the hell. That's all right. But yes, if you are looking for anything like that, and you've obviously heard the incoherent speech that we do here, imagine what I can do for you. So please, you can leave a message at the Zombie Beach number, or you can email me direct at dan@.zom.com.
That's right.
I do have an email address there.
Yes, you do. In fact,
I've moved up. I got a raise.
You're the only one who has an email address there.
Oh, well. Oh, great. Does that make me the highest paid employee in the company? I've been there before.
I think so.
Great. Can't wait for that next downturn. Go ahead.
Well, until next week, goodbye, everybody.
Hey, goodbye, folks.
Thanks for downloading.
And drive carefully. .com.
.com. Featured in today's show was a song called Ottoman Lobotomy by Kara Nomadica, courtesy of Magnatune.com.